Welcome to Line by Line, Making Your Mark in the Arts. Today we're going to talk about the theater and specifically about technical theater. Many times we go to the theater and we think, oh, that is magic. But actually, it's not magic. It takes a lot of work and a lot of passion to make that happen. Is that right, Kathy?
That is correct. That is correct.
We have with us today Kathy Snider. She is a faculty professor of acting, design, and makeup at HCC, the Center of Excellence of Media, Visual, and Performing Arts. Welcome to the show. We're so happy that you're here.
Thank you, Tony. I really appreciate it.
So, talking about technical theater, there are a lot of things that go into making a play. Uh, but now, uh, none of us, I don't think, have the expertise in every area. But it is good if we understand all the other areas. So, tell us, we have some new tracks or a new track for theater majors. They can make some choices. Tell us about that.
Yes, so we have three. Most people, when they think of theater or going into, theater, they think about acting. That's maybe directing, sometimes writing, and they don't realize that that's sort of, the top tiny bit of the iceberg that is theater. But so we have three tracks to cover all of the things. So the first one is performance, and that is primarily acting. And that is the lion's share. Most people want to be actors. Even people who later become designers and directors sometimes start out as actors because that's what most people see when they see theater. So we have performance. And then we have the technical line, which is for designers, set, costumes, lights, sound, and it goes beyond that, props. But also stage crews. People don't think about all the people that work behind the scenes to make all the magic happen. There are not only the people running the show, but also the people that make all the costumes and make the sets and make the sound and the lights happen. And there's a lot of people. There's so many more people in that area than in any other area. And then we have a general path, if you will. And the general path is one is for people that are not sure, or maybe they want to do several things. So they want to learn everything, or they want to be in administration or director type. So they need to know a little bit of everything. It's also for people who want to go into education, people who want to be teachers, or in a small enough theater where you kind of need to have to know a little bit of everything in order to do well. So there are those three. There are even people that don't make the theater itself, like dramaturges. They are people who do all the, academic part. They study plays. They find new plays. When you have a play like a Shakespeare, they do all the research. And so sometimes those people are also in that general section because they do a lot of history and that sort of thing. And so the performance people do mostly the acting sort of things, but they have to take a little bit of the other stuff. The technical people take mostly the technical part, but they have to take acting, the first level of acting, and then the general people can take a little smattering of everything. There are certain things that everybody should have to take a little bit of everybody else's discipline so that when you're working together, because theater is a collaborative art, you want to be able to understand where the other people are coming from so you can all make the right compromises to make the thing as perfect as it can be anyway.
Absolutely. So there's many directions you can go. But today we want to talk mostly about technical theater because a lot of people really don't know very much about it.
It's true.
Um,
It's true.
and that is your expertise. So tell us a little bit about what kind of courses would the students be taking for the technical end?
So they do have to take some things that are outside, like they have to take acting, and but most of the rest of the courses are actually directly involved. They have to take general courses like Introduction to Theater and Theater History. Uh, they have to take makeup design, which Tony and I both teach. We are the two teachers of makeup, by the way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Enjoy.
but everybody has to take the first level of stagecraft, but often there's 2 levels of stagecraft, which teaches you how to build the sets, but also how to hang the lights and to do sound. They take costume construction, which is how to build costumes, because believe it or not, it's actually quite difficult to make costumes. People think that's an easy one. It is not.
No, not at
It is
all.
not.
Not at all.
And then this fall, I'm teaching the first ever theatrical design class, which I'm super excited about. My undergraduate degree is in design. It says design, nothing, no qualifiers there.
Plain design.
Yeah, I'm design. That's my jam. And we teach, it's design in general, and we'll talk about each of the different disciplines and do a little work on each one. So you're learning the design principles and the basic idea of design in that. So, and there's, I'm trying to think, there's acting 1 and 2, there's practicum. So practicum is where we actually do the play, and our students get to do everything. They get to do acting, they get to do sometimes design work. We haven't had too many of those, but we've had a few. Set crew, construction crew, running crew, lights and sound operators, a stage managing, which is the hardest working person in theater. So
Yes.
it really is.
They wear little hats, actually.
Right. That's the one job I've never done because I'm seriously afraid, but I've done just about everything else. Everything but that one.
So you said some of the students, they do have a chance to try to design, right?
If they've taken the basic courses and they've shown a proficiency in something and have a real desire, sometimes they'll work with us in working on a higher level than normally you get within two-year school. And so we've had a few people that have been like proficient enough to design, and I'm hoping to get a couple of people designing on a smaller level costumes this fall. We've had sound designs. I had a sound designer that was a student. He was great. I think he's working professionally now as a sound designer. So we've had some stage managers, which I would count up in that level. I mean, that's a high level. We've had some great student stage managers, and several of them have gone on to very prestigious programs. So I'm very, very pleased about that. Acting too.
Yeah, in fact, I think one of my makeup students was one of those going to the Alley Theater. She's great.
Yeah, yeah. We've been doing well. We've been doing well.
So that's really good, and that's good news for students, because when you go to HCC, I think one of the greatest things about HCC is that students get hands-on experience, much more than if you started at a four-year college. What do you think about that?
I think you're absolutely right. When I went to U of H, there was a lot of competition for all the acting parts and all the backstage and everything, and they had a huge department. We have a much smaller department, and we're able to give the kids everything they need. And I'd like to talk about this one some more in more depth. But yes, we give every kid that wants to be in a play something to do in the play. So it's great. It's great.
Excellent. Well, we're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk about why research is important, and some other things about technical design. But let's go ahead and take a quick break, because they're giving me some time cues here, and we will be right back.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
The faculty at HCC represents the best of the city. They're committed to getting our students to their goals. HCC, for everyone, anytime, anyway.
Welcome back to Line by Line, where we show you how you can make your mark in the arts. But today we're talking about theater, and really in particular technical theater. And we have with us Kathy Snider from HCC faculty, teaches all kinds of technical and otherwise theater, great expert. She's going to tell us a little bit more. We just touched on the idea of researching. Why is research important for the theater in design and in, you know, just depending on what play you're doing and that kind of thing?
Well, you know, a lot of people, when they think about, you know, I could design that, you know, I could go to the store and buy that. They are going off of their own, whatever life they've lived or where they live. But plays are often not, even if they're set in the here and now, they're not set right here and right now, right? And you can just travel around the country and you will see variations on clothes and architecture and what people like, even colors. Right now, we live in the deep South. It's much hotter, right? Although right now everybody's hot, right? But if you're doing a period piece, you know, a time period, not only like, you know, you go 3,000 years back, there might not be a lot of variation within an area, but you go like around the world, it's completely different. And you get further closer to us, you get in time, the more changes happen because we become a global culture and influences happen fast. So if you're doing a Victorian show, you know, it depends on which decade you're in. The 1850s look vastly different than 1900, which is still all the Victorian period. So, and that goes for even things like lights and sound, like sound, music, the music of a time period, the colors of the costumes or the set, even the like wallpaper. I remember being so excited once I did a set for Stages a long time ago. It was a lovely afternoon for Crevecoeur or something like that. I can't remember. It's Tennessee Williams. And it's set in the 30s. And I found this 30s wallpaper. It was a reproduction. And I got so excited because I knew it was correct, right?
Yes.
You should always base it in that. You don't necessarily have, some people want to have it be realistic. It's like a super realistic play. You want realistic costumes that look like the realistic period. But if you are doing a non-period, but you kind of want this militaristic feel, you might pick these 3 periods in time, look at them and figure out what works from each and put them all together. So a knowledge of time periods and places and the differences in those, difference in socioeconomic levels of people, you know, how poor people lived, how rich people lived, how middle class lived, all of those things are important for all aspects of design. If you're designing an umbrella, what does it look like in the Victorian age relative to now? Not a whole lot of difference, but there is difference. So
there is. I remember I minored in history, and you know, that worked so perfect in the research area, right?
Right. My undergraduate degree had a lot of art history, and I had 8 semesters of art history, and that has stood me so well because I can go, oh, I remember this painting from blah 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 blah. Right. Because art, when you get back so far, it's art is your main inspiration for those time periods. You don't have any other way to look at what they look like. You're doing the ancient Egyptians, it's art, right?
Exactly. So. That's wonderful. Well, okay, we got some B-roll of of some of the stuff that you guys have been doing. We've even got a time lapse video. Tell us, you know, there's a lot of things that goes into building a set and in the designs. We have renderings, and tell us a little bit about how you go about, okay, you've got a design in your head. Now, how do you tell other people what this design is going to look like?
Right. And if you're doing a set, the first thing you start off with, if you're talking to a director, is you have your research, show the pictures from your research. And you might do things called thumbnail sketches, which are very quick. You do that with costumes too, and maybe even props, really quick sketches. but once you've kind of gone, yeah, that's what I'm looking at, you start doing finished drawings. So there are several different things. You can have elevations, which are like front on drawings to scale of what it looks like. You can have floor plans, which is like looking at it from the top and where all the layout of all the pieces are. And you can have renderings, which are a drawing of like a conceptual idea of with lights and color, what it looks like. You can do models. Models are great. They're to scale and they're, you know, they can be of various sizes. And for, especially if you have a director that's challenged with a two-dimensional drawing, can't see it in 3 dimensions, a model's a great way to go, because they go, I see how much space there is here. In costuming, we use renderings, drawings of the costume, and often with fabric attached, so that you can see which fabric goes where. There might be notes where it goes in the play. Lighting has lighting plots. It shows where all the instruments are hung and basically where they're being channeled to and what colors they are, and which ones are put together into one dimmer so that you can lower them. Music, you might bring, sound, you would bring musical types and tapes. They're often provided, or sound effects, during the rehearsal period, so that the stage manager can play them, so the actors get used to that sort of thing. Production meetings, you bring things to production meetings if things are going to change, or if you got an idea that might shift around. So there's a lot of different ways to tell a director and the actors what it's going to look like.
And the designer and the director, if they're not the same person, which sometimes, especially in the smaller theaters, they are the same person, but if they're not, they have to communicate. They have to, because the director is the one with the
concept.
There
The
you
design
go.
concept usually comes from the director, right? Correct. In talks with, especially in professional theater, they start months and occasionally years in advance. You talk to them before you even read the play. And then you talk to them and you talk to the other designers, and you come up with a concept. You don't design in a vacuum. You never design in a vacuum.
Exactly.
You don't get to choose. People think, oh, that designer, what was he thinking? Well, he didn't think alone.
No.
You think it.
He may have to give up some of his thoughts that he really wanted to do because the director said, no, this is
exactly. That's exactly true. And it's often, if you have a good director, and I work with some directors a lot that I love working with, and they love working with me because we have a vocabulary that we know works with each other. But yes, it's a constant talking, and like the thumbnail research, that can go back several times before you get to the rendering section, with actually putting things down on paper. And then once it's okay, then you go to your shops, your scene shop, your costume shop, the master electrician, and then those people help you realize whatever your design is. And you're right. Occasionally as a director, and I do direct, I also design costumes because costumes is my biggest area, but I've designed sets and props and some other things too. But it's better not to. It's really better not to.
On that. I'm so with you on that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's kind of like acting and being the director too. Oh no.
No, that's even worse.
Shakespeare did that, I think.
That's even worse, actually, because you can't tell when you're not acting well. Yeah.
No.
You can see a set and go, yeah, that's not good. But
not that.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, now there are. We showed some, or I think we're showing some of the Servant of Two Masters, the Hook's Tale, and some of that. And you show. Do you? I know the answer, but I want to hear the audience. Do you do a design for each and every character? How do you go about doing that?
Well, if you're doing costumes, yes, you do design for every single character. They need to go together, obviously, and you design them as a whole, but And I've done renderings where I did several on the same page. It's more traditional to do a single one. But yeah, you have to design everybody. Even, the people that walk on and walk off and never say a word, those people get designed too. And if you're doing a set, you don't just design the walls and the doors and everything. You have to design all of this stuff. I mean, there might be some give and take with the decoration, but you design everything.
And
Yeah.
color, between the lighting person and the set design and painting
Yes.
and costume, makeup, everything has to flow together. You can't, as you say, you don't do it in a vacuum. Okay, I got to take a break. They're telling me to take another break. So we will be right back with some more stuff about technical theater and a little bit about you, okay?
Okay.
We'll be back.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
Let's go.
you'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes.
Make a plan today.
I love teaching at HCC.
I love helping students
with college credits,
with scholarships and financial aid,
training them for life-changing careers.
Come learn with us. HCC, for everyone, anytime, anyway.
Welcome back to Line by Line. We have with us today Professor Kathy Snider. She's with the HCC Theater and she teaches all kinds of theatrical courses. And we're so glad to have you here, Kathy.
Thank you.
Let's go into, there's a lot of things to talk about. We could spend hours and hours, I know I could, on technical theater, etc. But let's tell the audience a little bit about you. And the reason I say that's so important is because a lot of times students really, if they know their instructor or their has been in the theater, has done it themselves, has, blah, 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 all that stuff. Sorry, that's my dog. See,
I have a cat back here.
And this is pretty much live, so, we have to go with it. But anyways, it's good for them to know the kind of experience the instructor has had. It makes them feel even more confident. So tell us a little bit about your professional background.
Okay. Well, first thing I want to say is for the students that try to sign up for my class and look for Kathy Snider, my first name is Gary, which is my mother's first name and my daughter's first name. So, there you go. It's a great icebreaker.
I get confused on it too. So
I know.
that was a very important note to say. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I got my undergraduate at Clemson University, which is in South Carolina, big football college, and got my graduate degree from the University of Houston, which has a great theater department. And I worked a lot around town in the professional theaters. I work a lot at Stages Repertory Theater. I usually do one or two shows a year as a designer, and occasionally I work as a craft master. So I'm a designer primarily, but I'm also a craft master, and that means in the costume shop, the craft master is the person who builds like masks and giant headdresses and does all the dyeing and the painting and all the fun stuff in in theater. I think I've made huge monster heads. I mean, who gets to do that?
I know.
I've
And get paid
as a
for
craft.
it.
I know, right?
I like
I worked as a craft master. I've worked at the Alley Theater, the Grand Opera, the ballet. I designed masks and made masks for a ballet production at the Houston Ballet. I direct here at HEC. I've designed and been in the craft master for the Houston Shakespeare Festival, and the Houston Children's Festival, Rebels Houston, Unity Theater. So I work around a lot. You said you had pictures of Hook's Tail. That's the last thing I designed professionally. That was a world premiere. It was last fall. It was the first show the stages had coming back from COVID. I'm very, very blessed that they asked me to do that. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, who gets to design Captain Hook? You know,
I know.
it's
It's
wonderful.
like you go back into your childhood.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun and exciting career, and I've really enjoyed it. I also knew early on that I wanted to teach, because I just love the college environment. So I was super happy to be able to do both. You know, it's
You know,
great.
and that's the other thing. A lot of people ask me and other people this question: what made you go into theater? And then again, even further, what made you go into technical theater as a particular choice?
Oh, that's a good question. So I was at Clemson, and I was in design, but I was an art major in an architecture department. So I have half architecture, half fine arts. I was a drawing and painting major.
Ah,
And I was actually thinking about going into art history, and then I had to take an approved elective, and I took set design, and my life shifted on that decision. I took it, and I got to work on a show that was a new show, like never been done before. It was a student written play. It went really far. It was at the ACTF festival and fell hook, line, and sinker, and realized, see, when you draw and paint, it's a singular, you do it yourself, mono art. But theater is a collaborative art, and I had never done that before. I'm very, I don't know if you could tell, I'm kind of a gregarious person. So the idea of making art in a group, magic. It was magic. And I think that is what draws most people in, to be honest with you. It is not the fame, it is not, definitely not the money.
oh no.
It is the art, and it is the camaraderie. So those things are, like I said, like you said, starting off, that's what makes magic. That's what makes magic.
That's right. That's right. It makes the magic, but it isn't magic. You have to make the magic.
That's right. You're the magic.
You are the magic. Yeah, I remember what you're telling me that. I remember I was a voice major when I started out in college. And then I tried out for a play, and then all of a sudden, guess what happened? I was
That pivot.
major.
Yep.
And I've been hooked ever since. So yeah, that's yeah, that's true. Okay, so what do the students have to do to sign up for theater? I know everybody's got to go to hccs.edu/apply, but after they do that, what are some things they should know about?
Well, our classes are under DRAM, like drama, just leave that last A off. We teach at a lot of the different campuses. I'm on at the Stafford campus, but there's a lot at Central, but they're actually all over. Most of them you can sign up for. There are a few that you have to take the first one before you can take, like, I think it used to be you could take acting 2 before you took acting 1, but you can't do that anymore. You have to take acting 1 first. Anybody can take acting, by the way. The only courses that are restricted in any way are the practicum classes. Those when you're actually getting credit for working on the play, you need a number. You need a permission number to get in. So you have to contact the teacher to get in.
Okay, well that sounds good, and just contact the theater department. We'll get you through it. Okay. Thank you, Kathy, so much for being on the show. Like I say, we could talk forever, but
we gotta
close. So, anyways, thank you everybody for watching Line by Line, and keep watching us because we help you keep your mark on the arts. So, we'll see you next time on Line by Line.